can't help you on the test, sweetheart.
I just forgot that they were like.
All right, so today,
I'm like,
China, today we're talking about estimating quotients. And during our number talk, I gave you an example of what estimating products were when we're working with decimals and how that could help you. Estimating quotients can help you too. Now, you've already been taught that you can solve a division problem that has two-digit divisors. Let's say you have a problem like this. And you're like, oh my goodness, two-digit divisors, Ricky, what should I do? And then you remember, well, Mr. McMurdo taught me I can do 36 times 1, or 36 times 2, and 36 times 3, and 36 times 4, and list all my multiples of 36. So that was one strategy I gave you. Now, based on what I saw in my first class, when I gave problems, they'd be like, I don't understand what to do. And they hadn't used this strategy. They also hadn't used the strategy that I'm going to show you today. So basically, they wrote down the problem and said, I don't know how to do this, without trying to do the problem.
they just want the answer.
They just want the answers. Logan, you are right on. Logans are smart.
Ew.
I gotta say that because I got a son named Logan.
That's unfair. That's rude. Yeah.
All right, so now we have this problem. 154 divided by 20. Actually, this should be 22. Let's make that 22. 154 divided by 22. Now, you're going to get an assignment back. You watched the quiz, and it said, put that away. It said in the problem, 24 divided by 6. 6 is the, and what should 6 have been? Divisor. But a lot of you didn't put divisor. Just like this. 154 divided by 22. The 154 is what you're breaking into pieces. Division is just breaking it into groups. Breaking it into groups. Kristen comes in, says, Mr. McMurdo, I have 154 cookies. There are 22 teachers I want to give them to. So how many cookies would each teacher get? And then I'd say, stop, Kristen. You're not sharing those cookies with anybody but me. And then the principal comes down and threatens to fire me, so then I have to let Kristen share cookies with other people, even though he wants to give them all to me, because he wants to pass. All right, so today we're going to do, let's see. We're going to do some estimating with things we already know. So if you watch, I'm going to try and explain to you how I come up with what I already know. First of all, I'm going to look at my divisor. And I'm going to say my divisor here is 22. I'm going to make it either 20 or 30. And since it's closer to 20, I'm going to make it 20. And then I want to find a number that 20 could divide into evenly that is close to 154. A number that 20 can divide into evenly that is close to 154. Another way to look at it is a number that 15 can divide in evenly that is close to 2. Okay? So if I just took each one of these digits off, and I'm not, but 2 goes into something close to 15.
So 14.
14. So 20, I'm going to change 22 to 20, 154 to 140. Now the purpose of this is now I can do this problem in my head. I can do the problem in my head. That's going to give me a general place to start. So if I ask, Nick, does 20 go into 1?
20 does not.
No. Does 20 go into 14?
No.
No. Does 20 go into 140?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
It goes
This, folks, is an important step. Because this is going to tell you how many digits your quotient has. If you don't put the little, make sure you know where your first number in your quotient goes, when you get to the real division, you're going to be like, oh, is it 97? Is that my answer? What? But if you mark off, it's not going to go over the hundreds place. It's not going to go over the tens place. It's going to go over the ones place. Now, even if you just completely guessed, you'd know to either pick 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So even if you just guessed, oh, it's a one-digit number, you'd have a 10% chance of getting it. But that's just silly. We don't have to guess.
Yeah.
Because when I'm dividing, and I have 0 here in my divisor, and 0 here in my dividend, I can really just take those off. And how many times does 2 go into 14? 7. That means 20 goes into 147 as well. 20 goes into 147 times as well. So when I do the actual algorithm, now it was a vocabulary term you used last week, an algorithm, and that is when I do the actual solving of the problem using the process, step-by-step process that it tells me, my answer should be somewhere in the vicinity of 7.
Is that
Do what?
Is that around?
Yeah, it should be somewhere around. You know, like when the police say, he's in the vicinity of 7th and Main Street, and so that's where they go because he's around that area. The vicinity. All right, so now I have to do the actual algorithm, doing the actual math. So I have 154 divided by 22. Natalie, how many digits are going to be in my quotient? 1. Because 22 doesn't go into 1. 22 doesn't go into 15. 22 does go into 154.
Yay.
I know my estimate, Natalie. My estimate was 7 was right here. So what I'm going to do, and please watch, gentlemen and ladies, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my estimate to see how close I can get to 154. So I'm going to take my estimate and multiply that by my divisor. 22 multiplied by 7. Because 7's what my answer is going to be around. And I want to see if I can get as close to 154 without going over. I don't want to go over 154 because that'd be like saying, well, I can divide these 154 cookies into 19 different groups, and that won't work. That won't work. That won't work. All right, so 2 times 2 is 14, 14, 15. So 7 is my exact answer. 7 is my exact answer. So it worked on this one where I got my exact answer by making my estimate. But now I'm going to say this. When we started division with 2-digit divisors, many of you, I said, hey, how many of you don't like division with 2-digit divisors? And many of you raised your hands. Since then, we've learned how to list all the multiples, like I showed you at the beginning of this. We're right now learning how to estimate with compatible numbers, or numbers that are close, that we can kind of do some of it in our head. Now, Elijah, you like football, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, are you good at catching the football?
Yes, very.
Okay. So, before you started playing football, had you ever caught a football before?
Depends.
No, those are
No.
underwear for adults.
Man diapers.
Man diapers, okay.
No.
You'd never caught a football before. So you weren't very good the first time you did it, right?
No.
I mean, it hit your hands and dropped. And are you good at catching the football now?
Very.
Okay. Do you only catch the football during games? No, you practice, right? Yeah, you practice. That's the same thing with math. One of the things I absolutely despise is at the beginning of the year when kids come in and meet the teacher. Hi, Mr. McMurdo. You're in my homeroom class. I'm not very good at math. And then I have to yell at them. But what really makes Mr. McMurdo mad is when the parent comes in and goes, yeah, this is my son, Jonathan. He's not good at math. No, I want to physically punch them in the face. Unfortunately, Miss Mackey, at the beginning of every school year, she tells me, Mr. McMurdo, please do not punch a parent in the face this year. So
This year. You have? You have? You have?
I refuse to answer that question on the grounds that it may incriminate me. So let's look at compatible numbers in division one more time. Let's take 68 divided into 503. 68 divided into 503. I'm going to use compatible numbers. I'm going to use compatible numbers to get myself an estimate. Now, my last estimate was exactly correct. That's probably not going to be the case here, but you never know. So let's call on Ethan. What do you want to change 68 to? Maybe 70. Okay? I'm going to change this to 70. Now, if I look just at my tens place, I'm going to say I have 7 here. Just work with me here, Ethan. Just watch. I have 7 in my tens place. I have 7 in my tens place. December, don't let me lose this. I'm going to put it right here for now. But I will honestly probably lose it, so keep an eye on it. Okay, now I want to know, Ethan, I want you to think. I have the number 7. And if I'm looking at just the first 2 digits here, what's a number close to 50 that 7 could go into? Evenly. What's 7 times 1? 2 times 2? Times 3? Ethan's doing it. 21. Good. Times 4? 28. Times 5? 35. Times 6? 42. We're getting closer to 50. Times 7? 49. That's close to 50. So instead of 503, I'm going to make this 490. So I've changed my 68 to a 70. And then I want to find something that 7 would go into that's close to 50. Now I have a 0 in my divisor at the end. I have a 0 in my dividend at the end. If I just kind of take these off. How many times, Ethan, does 7 go into 49? 7. My answer is going to be around 7. Because if 7 goes into 49 7 times, 70 goes into 490 7 times. So, I've got that. Now, Ethan, I have to do the real problem. But luckily, Ethan, we have an idea of where to start. So I have 503, that's a 6. 503 divided by 68. So let's go step by step, Ethan. How many digits do you think is going to be in your quotient?
7.
Good. 1 digit. Okay? Because 68 is not going to go into 5. 68 is not going to go into 50. 68 will go into 503. I'm going to have a 1-digit quotient. I may have a remainder. But right now, my whole number in my quotient is only going to be 1 digit long. Now I'm going to use my estimate, Ethan. My estimate was 7. So I'm going to see how many, if 68 times 7 gives me something close to 503. Okay? You've learned how to multiply by a one-digit number before you walked in my room, so we'll be good here. 68 times 7. Ethan, what's 7 times 8? Ethan, why y'all got your hand up? I called Ethan. Good. 56.
Oh.
56 ones. So that's 5 tens and 6 ones. So I carry the 5 tens over above the tens place. Ethan, 7 times 6? No, you're fine. Don't bang your head. Use your multiplication chart if you need to. Good. 42. Plus 5. Okay, so 68 multiplied by 7 is 476. Now, let's just say I haven't taught this lesson before, and so I don't know if 68, if this is close enough to 503 or not. I can also multiply 68 times 8 and get 5, is that right?
Yes.
6 times 8 is 48 plus, no, that's not. 6 times 8 is 48 plus 6 is 54. Okay, so 544 is too big. This product is too big, so it cannot be 8. It has to be 7. I have to put the 7 there. Now let me tell you a little something over here, Molly. Molly, what Mr. McMurdo sees a lot is, all right, I've done this math, and I'm going to erase it because I don't want it on my paper. That's just silly, Molly. As long as Mr. McMurdo, I'm going to start talking about myself in the third person. As long as Mr. McMurdo doesn't have to do like a map to find the answer to your questions, turn left at the big oak tree with the Y in it. Go right until you see the cow pooping. I mean, I don't, as long as I can find your answer fairly evenly and you're not tapping on your chair, then we're good. So I would leave that work on my paper, Molly, because now I already know what 7 times 68 is. If I erased it, then I'd have to work it all out again to see if it's 476.
And that would be bad.
That would be just absolutely ridiculous. I don't want to have to do more work than I have to do already. All right, so now we're going to subtract this. And some of y'all, when you borrow, you do it one place at a time. You don't always have to do that. I can change 50 to 49. And if I take 49, that's like taking $1 away from 50, and I just add that over here, so now I have 13. 13. See what I'm saying here? See what I'm saying here? All right, so now 13 minus 6 is what, class? 7. 9 subtract 2 is what, class?
7.
Or 9 subtract 7. I'm sorry, that was my bad. 9 subtract 7 is 2. And 4 subtract 4 is 0. So now I have 27 down here. So is this going to work? As long as when I subtract, I don't get an answer that is greater than my divisor, then I'm golden. And then this becomes my remainder. 7 remainder, 27. But Ethan likes good grades and he cannot lie. So he checks his work. And every day and night. I like that. So in order to check his work, he knows to check his work on division, he does the inverse operation kind of like fact family type things. Does the inverse operation, because my niece is like in 1st or 2nd grade, and so her mom was like, how do I teach fact families? I don't understand them. Well, you guys are brilliant, so you already understand them. So we're going to take our quotient, multiply it by our divisor. We're going to add our remainder, if we have one. And then we should get our dividend. See, it's so important for you to know the vocabulary. That's why I write it like this, and I say the vocabulary. Because really, I could just say 7 times 68 plus 27. But I don't want to do that. I want you to know what the terms are. 68 times 7. Wait a minute. I already did 68 times 7 over here. Thank goodness I didn't erase it. Man, that's so awesome. So that's 476. My remainder is 27. 13, 7, 8, 9, 10. Carry 503. My dividend was 503. Boom! Shakalaka! I got it correct. What doesn't make sense? It makes dollars.
It makes dollars. Not cents.
The what?
The third one.
Adding the remainder?
Yeah.
Well, I know that I'll have, if Christian had 503 cookies, and he's giving them in equal groups to 68 people. Well, each person is going to get 7 cookies. Or, I'm sorry, yeah. Each person will get 7 cookies. 7 people will each get 68 cookies. I'm dividing this into groups of 68. So Christian has all these cookies laid out here, and he wants groups of 68. So it's like 68 for Mr. McMurdo, 68 for Mr. W, 68 for Miss Davis. And then he can have 7 total groups. But he's got these cookies left over. So that's where the remainder comes in. That's what he has left over. So that is your remainder. That's why the remainder, that's what it means. Now what you see a lot on tests or questions that your teacher might ask you is what Mr. McMurdo has seen, is they'll be like, we have 68 students can ride on a bus. We have 503 students. How many buses do we need? How many buses would we need? I would need 8. Because I can't leave these 27 people here at the school. Yeah, but then I'd get fired. Then I'd get fired because they'd be left unattended. We don't want that. So anyway, that's what we have, groups of 68. 68 cookies in each group. And 7 different people can get 68 cookies. And Kristen gets to take home the extra 27 cookies. Good job, Kristen.
Thanks.
Well, he probably made more. I'm just saying. These are just the 503 that he brought to school.
Wait, he brought 500.
Yeah, and divided them into groups of 68.
How much money?
Because he wanted each person to get 68 cookies.
How much money was that?
Well, he's not buying them. He's making them.
Yeah, but you have to.
He's got a really big bowl.
Yeah.
He's got really big muscles because he's got to use a big spoon to stir it.
Or he gets.
Nobody asked you to talk, Gunner.
No one has to, Gunner. No one cares how you feel.
I care how you feel.
What?
All right, so I'm gonna give you a chance to practice some of these with compatible numbers. Remember, you're looking at the first digit when you estimate your divisor, and then looking at the first 2 digits of your dividend. Victoria.
Can we do them with partners?
Yeah, I'll let you talk with people near you. Boom. Shakalaka. Peace out. Love ya. God bless.
Bye.